I can hear you. Hi, everyone. I'm Kathy Reed, and I'm the co-founder of Illuminate Psychic Fair and more. All the excitement begins this on January the 30th with our keynote presentation with Elizabeth Beeds and Colette Marie Stephan. And then we move into the fair on the Friday night, which is on the 31st. And we run for the entire weekend. We've got 60 amazing exhibitors, 7 guest speakers, and a panel of experts. We're giving away door prizes on the hour. It's going to be a really great weekend. I hope you join us. Today, I have Stephanie Banks with us. She's one of our guest speakers for the weekend.
Hi.
Hi.
Few technical difficulties, but we made it work.
Yeah, for sure, Stephanie. So, Stephanie, you are an award-winning author of The Soulful Awakening, an inspirational speaker, a channel, a medium, and a Reiki master. And you also own a traditional landscaping or traditional role as a landscaper, and you own the company Sirocco Landscapes in Kamloops. Before we get started talking about your presentation, can you share with us what happened in August of 2012? Would really love for you to share that story with our visitors right now.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I'll keep it sort of condensed and brief because I will be going into more details on the Saturday at the Illuminate, which I'm super excited about. But essentially, what happened was I was mountain biking in Whistler with my family, and I misjudged my surroundings, and I found myself launching through the air over what I thought was a just sort of a small jump, but instead it turned out to be a gap jump, and I found myself flying through the air, which was completely unintentional, and I had no way of avoiding what was happening. So I ended up smashing into a rock wall on the other side and collided with that rock face, basically head on, and my wrists and well, my entire body basically smashed into this rock wall, and then I fell into a gully beneath me, and that was the life-changing moment for me. I think we all have one, maybe not so extreme, but that was my wake-up call. I had a near-death experience in that moment, and I traveled to the other side. I was guided by one of my main guides, who essentially showed me his life, or my life, sorry, in its totality. And what I mean by that is that I was shown my life as Stephanie Banks, both here in physical form, as well as my eternal life. So when we are out of physical form, we are experiencing reality from a different perspective, and from a more divine, holistic perspective. So I was shown what it's like on the other side. And at some point in that journey, I decided that basically I didn't want to see anymore because, to be perfectly honest, it was quite beautiful and amazing. And I didn't want to be tempted by myself into staying. And I think that's a really important point to just highlight here, is that when we leave the physical plane, which I did briefly, we have a choice, and it's our choice, and it's not somebody else's choice. We're not getting plucked off the earth by some divine being. We're that divine being, and we have the power to either stay or leave this earth. And so I chose to come back and begin to live my life from a more, let's say, purposeful perspective, where I understood that um, as these eternal beings, we come onto this into this reality, into this existence, with a bigger purpose and a bigger plan than sometimes we live out. And I wasn't living that out, and now I am. I kind of went on this journey of self-discovery, of self-awareness. I realized the day after my accident that I had gained or I guess reestablished would be a better way of putting it, a connection with the non-physical realm. So I started channeling messages like "No Tomorrow," and realized how much information is out there for us when we tap into it. And so that was the beginning of my channeling journey, and it's just become more and more a part of my life. So I started out channeling messages in written form, which I still love to do, and then I also channel verbally a group of beings that are known to me as Solomon. So I'll be doing that at the event on the weekend.
Wow, that's
Are
quite
you
an
there, Kathy?
hi. That's quite an experience that you went through. Before you actually had this accident, were you living in a spiritual realm of any kind? Did you have any beliefs of any kind? Like, or were you just living from your third dimensional brain, your left side of your brain, or were you?
Well, I think just for clarity, we're always living in a spiritual realm, and we're always in connection to the greater part of who we are, our higher self, source creation, God, whatever word it is that you choose to use. It's
Right.
just a matter of whether or not we feel that we're aligned with it. And it comes from a feeling based belief. And I think we live in this world where we've been taught to believe that we're disconnected from that, and that we're not special enough to be a part of it. And the thing that I've really learned through this entire experience is that God isn't necessarily a being, it's a state of being. And I heard that one time at a talk by Anita Moorjani, and it just really stuck and it resonated so much because it's so true. We are extensions of God, every single one of us. And without one of us, the equation isn't complete. And so through my own experience and through what I saw on the other side, and through my own channeling ever since, it's become forefront in my mind that we all have these amazing abilities to tap into the non-physical realm and to tap into our intuition much stronger than we already are. But we've kind of forgotten how to do that, and we've lost our confidence that we can do it.
Yeah, it's very exciting when you learn that you're part of the divine, and that divine will guide you in so many ways. And but there's lots of people who don't have that connection at all. And that was sort of my question at the beginning was, you probably weren't aware, or were you aware that there was a higher being, or were you completely unaware of that? And this just changed you completely. Was it?
Well, I would say that if I had to put a number to it, I was maybe 25% aware. I
Okay.
lost my mom when I was in my early 20s, and my best friend when I was in my early 20s. And so I experienced death at a younger age than
Mhm.
most, I think. And I always felt that they were around, but I wasn't practicing it. I wasn't living it. I was living a normal, happy life, but by no means was I, I didn't even know who Wayne Dyer was or Louise Hay. The most spiritual book I had ever read was The Celestine Prophecy, and it made an impact, but it wasn't. I wasn't really on that path, and it took this accident for me to really wake up and smell the roses, so to speak, and to make a decision that my life could be, if I wanted it to be, so much more. And I had to make it that way. It wasn't just, downloaded, although the information seemed to be downloaded. I had to integrate it still. And so now my purpose for events like Illuminate and the workshops that I do and the one-on-ones that I do is to help people return to their roots and to remember who they are, like who they are authentically, the true, real you. And when you become reconnected with that, you automatically, by default, become reconnected with your higher self, with all your guides on the other side, with source creation, because it's all the fuzzy, fluffy stuff in between that kind of creates a barrier. And I really truly believe that right now, and for the last number of years, but really right now in 2020, we're moving into a higher state of vibration. And as we move into a higher state of vibration, we have a greater ability to tap into the non-physical and to tap into our intuition and to recognize when it's talking to us and to hear and feel and experience through all of our senses, not just our five senses, what the non-physical realm is sharing with us. And if we really embrace it and begin to make certain small changes in our lives, we will be able to really benefit from what the non-physical and what this higher vibration is sharing with us.
How exciting. Isn't it
Yeah.
exciting that we actually are moving into a higher vibration, and it will become easier and easier for us? I can remember starting my journey 30 years ago, and there was nobody around even to talk about it or have communication about it. So I'm excited for this. I want the whole world to step into this beautiful realm and connect and be part and love each other and love themselves and feel the energy of what is the possibility of living that really great life. So messages from Solemn. That's really what you're going to be focusing your presentation on. And basically what you just mentioned a few moments ago, is that what we're going to be actually witnessing with this presentation? You're going to be giving messages to the crowd or individually, and how's that all going to work?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it's a big part of what I do. It's not all that I do, but it's a big part of what I have to offer in terms of my talks and presentations is this group of beings who I refer to as Solomon. And basically, it's not just one being on the other side, it's a group of beings. So anyone who's in the room, their own personal guides and teachers from the non-physical realm. So in other words, those that are on the other side will be present in the room as well, whether they're aware of it or not. And I basically go into what I call kind of an altered state, although I'm completely aware of what's going on. And Solomon comes through and will usually begin with some sort of dissertation about by reading the crowd and what the group needs the most to hear. I have no idea what that is. It's probably one of the easier talks that I have to do because there's no rehearsing. It's just whatever comes out, comes out. And their messages specifically for the group as a whole. And then there is an opportunity for questions and answers. And typically, obviously, there's not going to be enough time for everybody to answer or to ask a question. But what I've found in the past is that simply by osmosis, so to speak, those that do get up and ask questions, the people in the audience that don't have an opportunity to ask a question themselves, or perhaps are a little bit shyer and would rather not ask a question in front of an entire group, they still benefit from the answers that other people are getting, because essentially in the end, we're learning certain lessons on this plane in this reality of life. And we may be learning them differently through different experiences, but generally speaking, we're all experiencing the idea of loss. We're experiencing the idea of joy and passion and happiness. We have the same kind of questions regarding the earth as a whole, the universe as a whole, our life purpose, all those kinds of things. So it becomes kind of like an open dialogue, which is super fun. And I really encourage people to be light and humorous, because sometimes we go into these events, especially when it comes to channeling, feeling like we have to be super serious and have to do an hour meditation before and all that kind of stuff. And it's really not like that. The more lighthearted we are and the more humorous we are, and the more, I guess, just ourselves we are, the more I feel that the group of beings that I'm channeling, engage with us because they're reading our vibration. So if we're heavy, they might be heavy. If we're light and airy, they'll be light and airy. So yeah, that's probably the second half will be the channeling. So it'll be just a taste, 30, 35 minutes. And then at the beginning, I'm sure I'll be talking about our own abilities, like your abilities. So those of you who are listening right now or listen later, it's about you and where you can find your own connection and how really simple and easy it can be. I'm literally just a landscaper from Kamloops, and I don't have any formal training in this. I just had a bad accident, and I don't encourage you to do that. But I mean, if you want to, by all means. But it's about you finding your connection and hopefully being inspired through, just a friend on the stage who's courageous enough to go up and do it, because it can be kind of scary. And the thing that I've noticed in the last, 3 or 4 events for sure, is that most people that are coming to these channelings, even if there's 60, 70 people in the room, I'd say 80% of the people that come have never been to anyone that channels before. And there's this big, huge wave right now of people awakening to their truth and awakening to what the real reality is of our world. And there's a lot of curiosity. And like you said a few minutes ago, Kathy, there was a time 20, 30 years ago where it was almost like a faux pas. Like you just didn't talk about that. It was like, ooh, wooey, wooey. And it's so not anymore. You are receiving signs all the time. You're receiving messages all the time. But how? And are you hearing them? Are you experiencing them? Are you feeling them? And we'll be talking about that a little bit.
Oh, that sounds absolutely fantastic. I'm so grateful you're joining us. That sounds incredible. And I know everybody's going to leave there feeling like they're on cloud 9, which is awesome. And I agree. Come in with a light heart. Come in with a light heart and have fun and integrate everything Stephanie's saying and just be there. That sounds awesome. Thank you so much, Stephanie. Stephanie will be presenting on Saturday, February 1st at 3:30 at the Illuminate. And if you want more information, you can go to www.illuminateyourlife.ca and you can buy your tickets online or learn about all the other exciting things that are happening at our event, Illuminate Psychic Fair 2020. We're very grateful for you being with us today, Stephanie. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
I really appreciate you being part of our fair this year. It's going to be such a great time. Join us.
Bye. Come. Bye.